Do y'all want to see the saddest thing in the world? It's not a Twitter boardroom. It might be even sadder. Check this out. This is the most betrayed dog on the planet. The poor thing had to get her ovaries taken out. And now she's clingy. And she feels, this is like the most betrayed dog on the planet. She's got to wear a cone. She's always tired because she's on painkillers. This poor thing. I feel so bad for her. You never like especially as like Chihuahuas. Okay, so this is Gizmo. For those of you who are meeting her for the first time. My wife got Gizmo for her. And Chihuahuas, for those of you who don't know, they tend to cling to one person. Like, they choose a person, and then they just become obsessed with that one person. And they follow that person everywhere. No matter what that person is doing, they have to be included. Well, for some reason, Gizmo chose me. I don't know why. I tried everything in my power to make sure that the dog went to my wife. But Gizmo, she has decided that Daddy's the guy. I'm that guy. So it was so heartbreaking for me when I had to take her to the vet. Like, she woke up yesterday morning just the funnest, like, you know, sweetest little, hey, what are we doing today? Today's an exciting day. The future is bright. And I then took the poor thing to the vet, and she hates the vet. She has never gone to the vet and had a good experience. Never, not once. They always try to poke her and prod her with stuff. And so the moment I walk in, she starts shaking, and I just feel like I'm betraying my best friend. And the poor thing, I dropped her off, and I pick her up later, and she is just like, you could tell, like, her feelings were so hurt. How could you do this to me? This little dog is sadder than than Twitter employees right now. This poor thing. But she's probably going to be on my lap this entire time. So there's probably going to be a coned dog on my lap this entire show. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? How's your Wednesday going? Yesterday was also my anniversary with my wife. Our first anniversary. We went to go eat prime rib. We have like a Lowry's. There's like 3 Lowry's in the country. Dallas just so happens to have one of them. We went in there, and I had a lot of steak. Let's just say that. You know, like the kind of like a lot of steak where you got to get wheeled out of the joint. That's how much I had. Adams was my favorite until I read the rest of the series. I have not read anything from Adams other than Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm gonna stop there, just based off of what you just said. I still love you, but I'll never forgive you for what you've done to me. Congrats on that again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Apparently, did you guys know that like for wedding gifts and anniversaries and stuff, there's like elements you have to include. So like the first wedding anniversary is paper. You know, you have to have a paper gift. So I got my wife a folded book with the date we got married on it, like the number dates, and the numbers are separated by hearts. Got her that. She got me the note sheet, or what, like the musical sheet, you know, with all the musical notes on it, to our first dance, which is I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos. I'll have to hang it up on my office somewhere. It's cool looking. We have a Lowry up here. Unfortunately, he is an injury lawyer who's traditionally pictured with the bat. See, that seems far less pleasant than a steakhouse. Far less pleasant. They got a killer old-fashioned there, man. Killer old-fashioned. I don't think you're a lawyer guy. You can do that. Today, oh my gosh. Are y'all in as good a mood as me? Because I'm in a really good mood today. And it's because, like, the thing that I said here, if I would have said 2 years ago that Twitter would become a free speech platform because one of the coolest guys on the planet bought it, I would not have believed you. If you had told me that, I would not have believed you. It was literally like a fantasy that I had. Like, Elon Musk should buy Twitter. I think I said that at one point in time. Elon Musk should buy Twitter because it would just be so cool if he did. I didn't think it would happen. You know? It'd be like me saying the Legacy of Kain series would make a return. It's not going to happen. But it would be cool if it did. Now this has happened, maybe the Legacy of Kain series will return. Wouldn't that be nice? I would like a finishing. I would like that story to be finished. Anybody else? The sheet music. Thank you. The sheet music. Thank you. You're in an alright mood. Well, you know what, Red? Let's get in a better one. I am blown away by how much differently my Twitter looks now. Because before it was a, you know, I mean, I interacted with people and people interacted with me, you know, but it just, you could tell that it wasn't normal. There was something very reined in about it. Now it just seems free and open. I am seeing people tweet that I have not seen in a long, I'm talking about years. I forgot that I followed them. And as for me, myself, if you were to go over my analytics, which I did, previous to this month, I would lose 150 to 200 followers every month. Like, it was always net loss, right? Which is strange because even though, despite the fact that I lost those followers, my follower count would kind of still hover around the same area. 42,000. Wouldn't go really too far above 42,000. I would gain followers and then I would lose followers. So what seemed to be happening, at least from what I can tell, is I would start gaining followers and then, like, I guess some kind of auto follow or unfollow would happen. So that, you know, whatever, if I ever gained, like say I gained 5 followers, I would lose 8. Something along those lines. Somehow, like, they would unfollow, or maybe they would follow me, and then like, the automatic unfollow would happen. I know that I was being choked. My impressions were somewhere in, like, the hundreds of thousands. And keep in mind, I had over 42,000 followers. So it was kind of like, how am I not reaching this big of an audience with this many followers? It doesn't make any sense. How do I keep losing followers despite the fact that I keep gaining followers? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Suddenly, Elon buys Twitter. And my follower count is going through the roof. My tweet impressions are over 2 million now. Like, it's insane, the difference. Many people were like, oh, you're not being shadow banned. You're not being shadow banned. Yes, I was. I was being shadow banned like crazy. Dana Lash was being shadow banned like crazy. There is no possible way that people with that many followers does not have the bigger reach. There's no possible way. Now it turns out with Elon Musk getting about to be in charge, I should say. It's like they changed gears all of a sudden. We're exploding in growth. It's nuts. The shadow bans are lifting. And I still don't think every prisoner has been freed yet. Alex Jones, I think, is still yet to make a return to the platform. I have not seen Carpe Donktum yet. I'm sure that there's still, like, suspended accounts out there that have to be unsuspended. You know? Milo Yiannopoulos, for those who are a fan of him, I haven't seen him back on the platform yet. So I'm pretty sure there still is a lot of people still kind of locked behind this gate. But the moment Elon Musk steps into that building, I'm pretty sure we're going to see, like, a mass freedom movement in Twitter, and I cannot wait to see it. And by the way, Donald Trump said that he wasn't going to come back to Twitter. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. I realize he's got Truth Social and everything, but no, he won't be able to help himself. It's the de facto town square. And especially if he's planning on running again, which he said that he was going to. You've seen Carpe Donktum? Have you really? Hang on, let me check. Because if he's back, we'll know that's all but Carpe Donktum. Let's see. No, I don't see him yet. Yeah, I don't see him yet, but he'll come back. I hope he comes back. His memes were fire, like straight. Just some of the best. Seriously, what's up, Pickled Squirrel? I've seen Carpe Donk's thing. Oh, I read that. I'm amazed at how many people have requested to follow me 5 this morning alone. See, everyone's starting to come back, and like you're starting to see their tweets again. This platform is already starting to look way different. And I have a theory about that. I have a little tinfoil hat. I'd go get my tinfoil hat red, but I've got a puppy in my lap. Because technically Elon has not taken control yet. And they've already cranked it up. And I have a tinfoil hat theory about that, because it seems to me that like if they really care that much about the safety of this misinformation and distribution and hate speech and all that stuff, they would not do that. They would try to hold tight to it as long as they humanly could. And it was like, why would they start cranking it up now? And I kind of have a little bit of an idea as to why. I think that they bought into their bullcrap so much about right-wing Twitter being hateful and disinformation spreaders and, neo-Nazis and all this nastiness, harassment galore, which, by the way, they're already claiming that's happening, which it's not. It's not harassment, by the way, if you're being criticized. It's not harassment. And this is something that, like, hang on, I'll finish this other one first. Let me finish this first thought. My thought is that they thought that when they turned us all up, that we were going to expose ourselves as the horrible neo-Nazi, white supremacist, LGBT-hating nonsense. Just all the things that they accuse us of. They are so convinced that we would shoot ourselves in the foot because our hatred would just run free. And it's like, now it's not happening. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure there are people out there who are absolutely horrible. I've seen tweets, okay? Don't get me wrong, they are out there. But bro, if you think that the vast majority of America is just absolutely god-awful, and I'm not saying conservatives or libertarians, I'm saying Americans, because it was pretty much Americans that were held back. If you think that they're that awful, you've convinced yourself that they're that awful, then dude, there's something wrong with you. And you thought that giving us a bigger platform, you thought that allowing us to speak freely was going to expose us as these horrible people, that says more about you than it does us. Because we're clearly not doing it. The vast majority of America is free to say whatever they want. You know what they're stating? Nothing harmful. Nothing horrible. No neo-Nazi opinions. At best, really, what I've seen is just like some jokes that might be a little blue. I've seen many accounts, just starting to state random facts. Like there are only 2 genders. Abortion is evil, stuff like that, and like nothing but nothing like bad. I think if I'm right, then they horrifically miscalculated. And you know what? Add it to their failures. Good. I picked up 409 followers overnight. Yeah, see? I picked up 600 just a couple days ago. Like that. It was nothing. It's kind of amazing to me just how, like, when you really think about it, man, like they were really keeping us down. In the de facto town square, Elon Musk is right. This is the de facto town square. The way that they were keeping us down and silenced and censored is unconscionable. This is legitimately like a good example of just how horrible these people are. This was discrimination like you wouldn't believe. Ideological discrimination. They're only concerned about, skin deep discrimination, but to be honest with you, I mean, like, I don't even think they're concerned about that, if I'm being perfectly honest, because if you look at the conservative movement, we've got people from all over the world, all sorts of races, creeds, religions, all included in the right. That was all a lie. This whole hate speech thing was a lie. This whole worry about, people going around and being white supremacists on the right if we get our say, that was all a lie. It was all a lie to keep us silenced, to keep us in the shadows so that they could have their day. And I mean, like, they really did try to have their day. And I'm not just talking about like, hey, we can just say what we want, but they can't. I mean, like, election interference stuff. That whole New York Post silencing thing, just as Elon Musk brought up earlier today, the wholly inappropriate thing, that was beyond horrible. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about here. That level of censorship, that level of ideological discrimination. I need to just hang it off the back of your chair. What's up, Slow DK? How you doing, man? I want to jump into some of these things that I've been looking at, because first off, Project Veritas. I've been saying I would love to be a fly on the wall during these Twitter meetings. And Project Veritas has people on the inside on Twitter who clearly are thrilled with Elon. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. They're thrilled with Elon Musk taking it over. Can you imagine if, like, Disney suddenly got taken over by someone like Musk? It's like that level of greatness. And I mean, it's about, people would consider Disney being taken over by someone who wants to break away from the woke culture to be a really big deal. It would be a big deal. This is just as big a deal. It's just as big. This is a fantasy come true. This proves that we're not living in the darkest timeline. Project Veritas had obtained audio. And Mario from Project Veritas sent me this last night, and Jen put it up. And y'all got to hear it if you haven't already. We're about to listen to it. As we've covered, Twitter employees are none too happy that Elon Musk has purchased the company, and their loud displeasure even led to executives taking the step of locking down the platform's source code. The fact that they even had to do that. I keep seeing, like, some people come at me and they're like, well, that's just typical. That's standard procedure. I don't doubt that in certain, like, you tend to do that, or you lock out the individual, I should say. So, like, if you fire somebody or they resign or they move on or whatever from the company, you immediately lock them out so that they can't do anything. The executives had to lock down the platform source code in its entirety, so that no employee who's upset about Musk taking over the company could go in and screw with it. It's like a bunch of children work there. And they're throwing a temper tantrum, and they were like, they did it because they were like, somebody's going to come in here and try to screw with this code. Someone's going to try to, like, break Twitter completely, or try to adjust the code so that, who knows, it bans conservatives. Who knows? They had to go in there and lock it down so that no one could change it. Some disgruntled employee couldn't go in there and screw everything up. An internal all-hands call was held late Monday in which CEO Parag Agrawal and I've seen that name spelled so many different ways, and board member Brett Taylor fielded questions from staff. The call lasted approximately 45 minutes, and the audio was leaked to Project Veritas. In an email, Project Veritas listed some of the highlights of the call. Brett Taylor, Twitter board member. I also just want to acknowledge all the emotions of today. It is an emotional day. I want to acknowledge it. Thanks, Taylor. By law, we are required to act in the best interest of the shareholders. So that was him explaining effectively why they sold the company to Elon Musk and why they didn't just hold out. He's trying to take, like, the heat off of him. I had to do it. I didn't want to, but I had to. I can't speak to why people leak information to journalists, but people do. I can't imagine how disruptive it is for all of you. This is getting leaked too. Just assume, here's the thing, man. If you are a leftist, just assume that any stranger you're talking to is a right-wing guy trying to get, like, B-Ruff, thank you so much for the subscription. Really appreciate it. Just assume that you're probably talking to a journalist or an undercover journalist. They do not learn their lesson. But I guess they can't really prevent the leak here, because if they are all about Elon Musk taking it over, they could secretly leak these calls and no one would discover who it is. It's important to acknowledge, this is from Agrawal, it's important to acknowledge that all of you have many different feelings about what is happening. Many of you, so much like emphasis on the feelings part about this. Isn't that interesting? Everyone's feelings and emotions. Many of you are concerned, some of you excited. Many people here are waiting to understand how this goes and have an open mind. The role of our policies and the capabilities we've built around content moderation are fundamental to keeping Twitter safe and growing. Was Twitter growing? It's definitely not safe, because, I mean, they've got, I'm going to show you guys, even Adam Schiff was spreading misinformation like crazy, and they did nothing to prevent it. In fact, they signal boosted him and started silencing people who were just sitting there stating biological fact. Agrawal will be finding a way to have Elon talk with all of you at the soonest possible opportunity. As you've heard from all of us, we don't have all the answers. I have an idea as to what the answers are going to be before the questions are asked. One of those answers is a lot of you are fired. Agrawal's comments about the content moderation policies indicate that he might be prepping to challenge his new boss's views on free speech. How this all plays out will be very interesting and will likely have implications far beyond Twitter. Yep. Jen's right. You can listen to the entire call below. So let's go ahead and listen to this. At least some of it. It's 45 minutes. I'm not going to spend the entire 45 minutes listening to it. Oh, it's not loading. Oh man. Hold up. Oh, okay.
And I'm sure you're still processing it. The focus of this all hands is you. I know many of you want to know what has happened and what's next. And I want to answer all of your questions.
It sounds so grave. He's talking like it's such like a he sounds this sounds like so dire. Like someone was just murdered on the front door of their building, and they're like, I know you have questions, I know you're afraid. I know you're probably feeling a lot of anxiety.
That is what this all hands is all about. And we have a lot to cover. To start, I've seen many questions that talk about the process that got us to this point. So that's where we'll begin. I want to hand it off to Brett, the chairman of our board, to speak to you all directly about how we reached today's announcement. Brett.
Yeah, thank you, Parag. I want to talk through the process, but I actually just want to start by expressing my gratitude to all of you. Running Twitter, like all of you do every day, is not an easy job. There's a ton of stakeholders, a lot of opinions from the world, and running it amidst all that has been swirling around Twitter over the past few weeks is nothing short of remarkable. And
he is congratulating them for effectively running Twitter like a freaking third world communist country. I know it's not easy. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and you guys are out there silencing people to the best of your ability. And oh my God, dude, shut up.
The whole board, and I just want to speak on behalf of everyone, is just really grateful to all of you for keeping your heads down as you've been able to, and keeping this train running. I also just want to acknowledge all the emotions of today. It is an emotional day. I want to acknowledge it. And I just really appreciate everyone on this call. So let's talk about the process. The board received Elon Musk's proposal on April 14th. And since then, the board took on a process that we really tried to make thoughtful, comprehensive, and deliberate. And we've had a number of discussions between the two parties. When we were considering the proposal, it was really in light of comparing it to the company's go-forward prospects, the current market environment, and all the risks associated with achieving the operating plan of the company, among many other considerations. When we voted this morning, the vote to approve the transaction was unanimous at the board.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be unanimous, because if it wasn't unanimous, then they would have probably been in a lot of legal trouble. A lot of legal trouble. They had to do it.
I think this process was comprehensive and thorough, and ultimately, we felt that this was the best path forward for Twitter and our shareholders. I think many of you understand this, but I also want to just explain the basics of what it means to be a board in this situation. So we are a Delaware company. And as a board in a Delaware company, we have a fiduciary obligation to our shareholders.
Just a reminder that they were going to try to stop Elon from purchasing Twitter by inducing a poison pill. Meaning that I think it was 15%. If Elon Musk purchased more than 15% of Twitter's shares, it would have flooded the stock market with more shares of Twitter suddenly, effectively making Elon's stock drop drastically and make the worth of his stock drop drastically. And it would have really hurt the company. These guys were introducing that. We're doing that. They don't care about the shareholders. They don't care about the health of the company. This dude's a liar. What's up, sister? Told you? How you doing? My wife is pregnant and I'm seriously thinking of naming the baby Elon if it's a boy. Dude, you probably won't be alone. Just throwing that out there. You're probably not going to be... A lot of people are probably going to end up calling their babies Elon at this point. It's a pretty cool name when you think about it.
Which means, by law, we're required to act in the best interest of our shareholders. What this means in Delaware is a duty of care and duty of loyalty. That means we have to act impartially, without any conflict of interest, and we have to do our work thoroughly and deliberately. And I think that's what we did when we evaluated Elon's offer. I know there are a ton of twists and turns along the way, all of it in public, and we weren't really able to share a lot of this with all of you during these discussions. I want to assure you all that we acted swiftly, but we also took the time that we needed in order to make the right decision, which is one of the rights and one of the important things that we must do as a board in this situation.
The right decision in this case is the one that keeps him out of legal trouble. If he could completely and totally do what was necessary without him having to suffer any blowback from it legally, Elon would never have been approved for his purchase. Never. This dude did not want to sell to Elon.
I just want to end by just saying I am extremely confident in Twitter's future. I think Twitter is as important of a service in the world as it's ever been. And I just know that all of you are going to continue to build the service into everything that it can be. Being on this board and being affiliated with this company has been truly the privilege of my career. So with that, back to you, Parag.
Thank you, Brad. Before I talk about what lies ahead, it's important to acknowledge that all of you have many different feelings about what is happening.
Feelings.
Some of you are very concerned. Some of you are very excited. And others are somewhere in between or waiting to see how this goes. I know this impacts each of you personally, professionally, and has you wondering about the future of Twitter. I want to start by sharing information that is most important to you. The deal was signed this morning, but there are a lot of steps between now and when the deal closes. There is a lot of work that lies ahead and still needs to be done. This work can take 3 to 6 months, or it can take longer. In this moment between deal signing and deal closing, we operate Twitter in normal course, just like we always have.
If that's the case, I'm kind of wondering what they mean by that. They operate Twitter in normal course. Does that mean... Well, obviously, I think that the censorship angle has pretty much been exposed and lifted, more or less, not completely, more or less. I still think that there's probably a lot of censorship, like contingencies still in place. But clearly, people are being opened up. Like, more people are, like, we're getting more followers. Reach is skyrocketing through the roof. So I don't know what he means by that.
I will be here running the company, serving our customers, making our product better every day. And I'll be here to enable each and every one of you to have your greatest impact. How we run the
Sounds like
company
he's reading off a
and
script.
the decisions we make and the positive changes we drive, that will be on us and in our control.
Am I the only person who hears that? Like, it feels like he's reading off a script.
Next, I want to talk about compensation. Last time we spoke, a lot of your questions were about what this might mean in terms of compensation. To get a bunch of this stuff written down for you and clarified, and we will follow through on doing so as soon as we can. Before we jump into questions, I want to take a step back. Twitter has always been an outlier. It's a unique company. And what we are going through is unprecedented. I recognize that this is a period of uncertainty. The best thing we can do is to support each other, to operate as one team.
This is insane to me. Just the tone that is being struck here it tells you everything that you need to know about how Twitter is run and who runs it. The tone being taken here. It's like they are at a funeral. It's like they are watching a ship sink right in front of them, or that, you know, they're watching their relatives being lined up against a wall, or I don't know. It's just the tone here is just so morose. It is so melancholy. They sound defeated. Why would they want to sound... This is something that we need to really focus in on here. These people run the de facto town square, Twitter. It is one of the most trafficked conversation sites on the planet. And the guy who's taking it over is telling everyone, hey, I want to make this a more free speech platform. People should be able to have their say, not have to worry about getting censored or silenced or banned just for stating something as simple as biological fact. We should not be even suspending or silencing major news organizations that break stories that are just clearly inconvenient to one side, and definitely not doing that during an election year. And these people are so upset by the fact that people will be able to say what they want now, that they are holding what is effectively a funeral and talking about what comes next. These people are out of their minds. Someone needs to stitch all the clips of New Trek characters bawling in agony and sadness and superimpose it to feelings. How many steps back is he going to take? Hey, Kira, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Imagine the pendulum swinging along Biden's Twitter and Ron DeSantis runs for President Trump. Dude, it would be a massive meltdown on the left. It would be... Someone already said it, that this purchase of Twitter by Elon Musk feels like 2016 all over again. Now imagine that this happens, and then we have the midterms where Republicans are going to sweep the midterms. I mean, I don't want to put all my chickens or my eggs in one basket yet. Count my chickens, as it were. But I mean, like, even like the leftists in the media are like, we're done. It's over. No possible way we're going to gain seats. They're going to take the House and the Senate. They've already got the Supreme Court. And then, on top of that, 2 years later, chances are DeSantis is going to run and win. And I think Bonchi kind of released that article not too long ago. Bonchi was saying, like, he has because his term limit's up, DeSantis. His term limit as governor is up. So he has no reason not to run for president. No reason. And I would vote for that guy in a heartbeat, and I get the feeling that many Americans would too. They would vote that guy in without even a second thought. So it's just going to be a string of wins. And I'm not just going to say for Republicans. I'm just going to say for people who just are tired of woke culture, tired of censorship, tired of authoritarianism. Like, they're just done with it. They want to. They just want to be free and to live their lives. They don't want any more lockdowns. They don't want any more being afraid to just speak simple truths. So they're going to kick these people out, and they should. They have every right to. The Democrats tried to move the Overton window to the left super fast, and because of that, it woke America up to the fact that these people are out of their freaking minds. Trump is VP. Trump probably is going to run, but I don't know if he's going to beat DeSantis. I honestly don't. Trump is running. The despair has almost been as delicious as election, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm not going to watch the rest of this. Obviously, it's very long, but go to redstate.com right now. Everything that I'm about to talk about is up at redstate.com. This is on the front page at the moment. If you want to listen to the entire thing, I recommend it. Go, and it's going to really give you an idea as to what's going on behind the scenes at Twitter and who these people really are. And God bless the people. If you even see this, those of you working at Twitter who are excited about this change and really want free speech, God bless you. Not just for staying in the enemy's territory and doing good work behind the scenes, but for giving us this audio, because it really shines a light on what's going on. This one's from Bonchi. Elon Musk responds to Russian collusion hoaxer currently working at Twitter, points to big changes. You want to know what's going on behind the scenes at Twitter? Check this out. After Musk's blockbuster deal to buy Twitter, the next obvious question was, what happens next? Was Musk going to come in and completely clean house, kicking out all the woke staffers and left-wing leadership? Or is he going to take more hands-off approach to this transition, allowing some of the worst offenders to remain in their roles? I think we're starting to get an answer to that. In the last 24 hours, Musk has offered criticism of Vijaya Gadde, who is currently the top lawyer and head of the content moderation division at Twitter. She was responsible for not only banning Donald Trump, but also censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. She also responded less than maturely to Musk's takeover. Apparently, she was bawling. I want to... By the way, I love the way that he calls her out. Vijaya Gadde, for those of you who don't know who she is effectively the Trust and Safety Council head. She is the one who she's called like the moral center of Twitter. Or the moral guidance, or what is the exact moral authority? She's called the moral authority. Vijaya Gadde, the top censorship advocate at Twitter, who famously gaslit the world on Joe Rogan's podcast and censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, is very upset about the Elon Musk takeover. Elon Musk is suspending the Twitter account of a major news organization for publishing a truthful story was obviously incredibly inappropriate. I could not. And by the way, he just went all in on her. But who is Vijaya Gadde? To give you guys an idea of who Vijaya Gadde is, pretty much the censorship, the shadow banning, the suspensions, a lot of this comes from Gadde. Gadde, being the moral authority over at Twitter, is in many ways responsible for you not being able to be seen by anybody, despite the fact that you're not breaking any rules. She knows which side you're on. She knows that you have things to say that are inconvenient to her side. And so she felt that it was her moral duty to shut you up in any way that she possibly could. Many of the decisions about who gets suspended and who gets shadow banned are basically from her guidance. So I was a part of Gamergate. I was a reporter during Gamergate, and I was pro Gamergate. I did a lot of reporting during that time, and I was very active on Twitter about it, very active. And since Gamergate, I have had handcuffs put on my account because Gamergate was one of the first instances where and I'm not even going to say it was the right, because it wasn't just the right. It was the right, left, independents. All these people came together to push back against a very corrupt industry. I want to say video game journalism industry. And you heard often, like, all we want is ethics and, games journalism, which was the ultimate goal. The left tried to paint Gamergate as a neo-Nazi, white supremacist, highly sexist, and dangerous group of people. It wasn't. I mean, the amount of people who were there, I made a lot of friends during Gamergate, and a lot of these people were the sweetest people you'll ever meet. Wouldn't hurt a fly. But because they targeted these people, including myself, as the epitome of evil, they locked down my account effectively. Not like locked. They didn't carpe donked me. But they made sure that my tweets would be hard to see and that my reach would stay limited. And you go through, and there are a ton of accounts that took part in Gamergate that I have not seen in years. Vijaya was one of the people who is behind that decision to silence people who spoke out against corruption in journalism and the infection of social justice into the culture. Woke culture, people who fought against woke culture, because Gamergate was one of the few instances, or like I shouldn't say one of the few instances, it was one of the first instances of the people actually winning the battle against the leftist establishment. And to this day, you'll still see people bring up Gamergate on the left and talk about how evil it was. New York Times last year did like a focus on it and like remembering Gamergate and how horrible it was. Vijaya Gad is behind a lot of these decisions. And I played this back when the show was Brandon Morse Live, but I want to play this again because I think it's very interesting. It gives you an idea of who Vijaya Gad really is and what she believes. And spoiler alert, I can't decide if she is a person who is either so far up her own ass with her ideology that she cannot understand that the decisions that she is making, the lives that she is affecting, the actions that she is taking are based on ideological extremism, or she knows that she's ideologically extreme. And she is, regardless, taking these steps with no care about her hypocrisy whatsoever. Can't imagine Musk letting her keep that power for much longer. I've got some things to say about that after we watch this. Think about how many people got suspended just for telling journalists they should learn to code. We need a complete rundown of the shenanigans over there before elections. I'm going to talk about that too, because what comes next, I think, I've got a list of things. I wouldn't be surprised if real hard evidence of election fraud now surfaces. I wouldn't be surprised either. I would not be surprised either. So check this out. This is Vijaya Gad talking with Tim Pool and Joe Rogan. You okay, baby? And they are trying, Tim Pool is trying his absolute best. Joe Rogan is trying his absolute best to get Gad to see that what she's doing is wrong, but she cannot seem to wrap her head around it. She can't seem to.
Accurate. Now, I don't I don't agree with targeting harassment on anybody. And I targeted harassment on trans people or straight people or whatever. I don't agree with it. I don't think you should do it. It's not something I want to do. But in this context, what she's saying is not just her expression, but it's accurate.
I think an important point is, if I tweeted to you, Joe, you are not a hamster, that's clearly not a violation of the rules. However, if
I identify as a hamster.
Well, no, it wouldn't be clear, because I know people who have specifically begun using insults of animals to avoid getting kicked off the platform for breaking the rules. Certain individuals who have been suspended now use certain small woodland creatures in place of slurs, so they're not really insulting you, and it's fine. But there are people who consider themselves trans species. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the trans community by no means. I'm just trying to point out that you have a specific rule for one set of people, and there are people who have general body dysphoria. You don't have rules on that. There are people who have actually amputated their own arms. You don't have rules on that. You have a very specific rule set. And more importantly, in the context of a targeted conversation, I can say a whole bunch of things that would never be considered a rule break, but that one is, which is ideologically driven.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback. I mean, we're again always learning and trying to understand different people's perspectives. And all I'll say is that our intent is not to police ideology. Our intent is to police behaviors that we view as abusive and harassment. And I hear your point of view, and it's something that I'll definitely discuss with my team.
And even in this case, it wasn't just a...
So Tim Pool completely and totally laid out his point very clearly, and it was a very good point. You can sit there and say the exact same thing about anybody, anything, anyone in a different context, and nothing would happen to you. However, in the context, and what they were talking about is a radical feminist who got into an argument with a transgender person, and the radical feminist was effectively kicked from the platform because there was no they were arguing about biology and what is a woman, what makes a woman, right? The feminist who was arguing that women are women and men can't be women was kicked off the platform and didn't really say anything worthy of getting kicked off the platform, just that women were women, and that was enough. And that's what they were discussing here. The problem is they think differing ideology is harassment. Exactly. And yes, Red, that was deflection. Discuss with her team was that, yes, Lord Jim. No, they didn't. No, they won't. Yeah, because it was her trying to escape the conversation.
This is not something like you can say water is wet, this is dry. This is not like something you can prove. This is something where you have to acknowledge that there's an understanding that if someone is a trans person, we all agree to consider them a woman and to think of them as a woman, to talk to them and address them with their preferred name and their preferred pronouns. But biologically, this is not accurate. So we have a divide here. We have a divide between the conservative estimation of what's happening and then the definition that's the liberal definition of it.
I think that's right, Joe. And I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not that you can't have those viewpoints. It's that if you're taking those viewpoints and you're targeting them at a specific person in a way that reflects your intent to abuse and harass them.
But what if it's in the context of the conversation? What if she's saying that I don't think that trans women should be allowed in these female spaces to make decisions for women? And then this person's arguing and she says a woman is biologically female. Well, you are never going to be a woman.
She responded with, men aren't women, though. And that was her first, in the series of events, that's what got her the suspension and the warning.
That was one of many tweets that was part of providing context, and that was actually the second strike is my understanding. But
why is that a strike?
Yeah, why is that a strike?
But again, like, it's the context of I don't have all the tweets in front of me. There were like 10 or 12 tweets going back and forth, and my understanding is that in the context of all of those, she was misgendering a particular person.
So she was not subscribing to this transgender person's point of view about gender, and she was the one that got punished. And like Gad is sitting here saying this, the look on her face right here in this little still, the look on her face, she seems to have this idea that it's purely ideologically driven, or doesn't have, she can't seem to wrap her mind around the fact that that this position that she's taking is purely ideological. She seems very confident in the fact that she did the right thing here. It's not even like, seems to be entering her mind that maybe she's doing this based off of her own opinion.
Not that she was holding a
It was a
belief or
public figure,
statement.
though, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It was. So you're having an individual who's debating a high-profile individual in her community, and she's expressing her ideology versus hers, and you have opted to ban one of those ideologies.
And it's within the context of this conversation.
Yeah.
This is what is being debated, whether or not someone is in fact a woman when they were born a male.
I understand that this is controversial. I do.
Especially to a radical feminist, someone who
I understand why people would not agree with the rule. But that being said, it is a rule on our platform. And once you're warned about the rule, to repeatedly post the same content is also going to be a violation of our rules.
Right, but the rule, this seems like a good example of an ideologically based rule. If she's saying that a man is never a woman, though, that is not in that context harassment. That is a very specific opinion that she has that happens to be biologically accurate. Now, I don't agree with targeting harassment on anybody, and I targeted harassment on trans people or straight people or whatever. I don't agree with it. I don't think you should do it. It's not something I want to do. But in this context, what she's saying is not just her expression, but it's accurate.
I think an important point is, if I tweeted to you, Joe.
So we've already watched that part. Do you guys see what's happening here? They are explaining in very simple terms that what she is doing is punishing people from her perspective on what is right and wrong, not what is right and wrong, like, in an overall kind of basic sense. Right? So if I were to be given the reins of Twitter and I was given full, authority, and I had the gumption to start banning people who simply disagree with me, and I could label it as hate speech, then there would be no, bake the damn cake opinions on Twitter. There would be no, hey, sexualizing children is okay on Twitter. There would be nothing like that. No conversation about it, right? That would be, if I had the gumption to silence people, but it would be a purely ideological stance on my part. But I would be sitting there, if I was her, I would be calling it, like moral and right, which, I mean, mine is. But the difference is that she is not punishing people for doing a bad thing. She's punishing people for disagreeing with her and the cause celebre at the time. As Tim Pool pointed out, he can talk about, he can say, oh, well, you're not a hamster, despite the fact that you identify as a hamster. He can say that without punishment. Because it's not the cause celebre. It's not the hot topic. It's not the fad. So Vijaya Gad is effectively not, she was trying to wrap her head around the idea, but couldn't seem to get there. Either that, or she is a very good actress, and she is effectively trying to put up this smoke screen, knowing full well that she's being a hypocrite. I can't decide which right now. But regardless, this is who has been effectively guiding Twitter's moral policies, who has been in charge of who gets kicked for what this entire time. It's Gad. And here's what I think needs to happen. The first thing that Elon needs to do when he walks into Twitter HQ is point at Gad and say, get the hell out. And then go back through her emails, go back through anything that she might have done to the code, any decisions that she made during meetings, whatever. Go back through them all and check for intentional election interference. Because that whole Hunter Biden story that got silenced on Twitter during an election year, who was she in contact with? Who? Go through her emails. Was she talking to somebody at the Biden camp, any kind of DNC official, who go through her emails, get it checked out. She has to go. Somebody who is that ideologically bent to either practice hypocrisy without any guilt, or someone who can't tell that she's being a hypocrite. Either one. If you're that ideologically bent, you have no business running a free speech platform. None. You are incapable. You do not have the power to do it. And I'm pretty sure that Gad's not the only person there. I'm pretty sure that Gad is joined by 1,000,001 people at Twitter right now who probably need to be shown the door, because either they're not going to be capable of helping run this thing because of their ideological bent, or they're actively, if they are actively trying to shut people down, knowing full well that they are doing so out of an ideological imperative, or they are fully cognizant of their hypocrisy and they're doing it anyway, then they cannot be trusted. Because who knows what type of sabotage they're going to do from the inside, what kind of information they might try to leak, what kind of things in the code they might secretly try to change, the algorithm, who knows? I don't know, but they can't be trusted and they have to be kicked out immediately. And I don't say this lightly. I'm not the kind of guy who likes to advocate for people getting fired outside of DC. I'm really not. And I do hope that Gad winds up somewhere in a political campaign, or maybe she works as a lobbyist on K Street. I don't want her to completely lose her livelihood, unlike her, because I'm not evil. But she does not belong there. Period. There's no question about it. What she desperately wants to say, you're allowed to hold those opinions, sort of. You're not allowed to express them. See, she's like, you're allowed to hold these opinions, but you're not allowed to tell them. You're not allowed to express them, especially to a transgender person. Effectively making transgender people the most protected person on Twitter. If you try to approach a transgender person and make them and talk to them about biology, you get kicked. At least that was the practice, because that radical feminist got kicked. I'm surprised I didn't get kicked for the tweet that I sent out just the other day to Manning. What she's saying is you can't even have the discussion. The discussion itself is the hate speech in her estimation. I mean, this is the woman who has been effectively shutting down conversation on Twitter for forever now. I mean, good God. This woman has got to go. Of all the people on Twitter who work there at Twitter, she's the head of the snake. Cut it off. Get her out. Show her the door. I can't be shamed out of terrible humor. Trust me, my parents and brother have tried. Dude, terrible humor is pretty much my bread and butter. I don't blame you. I hope she ends up in the refrigerator carton next to one shared by Brian Stelter and Oliver Darcy. You want to talk about good times, man? Like, let's say the Vijaya losing her job, Gad losing her job, Stelter getting kicked from CNN. Dude, things are turning around, in my honest opinion. I sound pissed off, and don't get me wrong, I am at Gad, but it is a good day. And it's a good day because the bad guys keep failing miserably. CNN Plus goes down. CNN is getting bought. By the way, I want to point something out. The whole get won't go broke thing. Did you notice that CNN was bought? Now, given I realize it was like, a merger between Discovery and Warner, but it's kind of interesting to me that CNN was so in need of a makeover that they focused in on it and decided to revamp the whole thing. Twitter, in need of a revamp so bad. It was doing so bad. Every single one of these things went woke. They were going broke, and somebody swept in to buy them up and change them. Did you notice that? There's a pattern occurring here. I bet that this won't be the end. Something else is going to happen. Something else here is going to happen, and it's going to be awesome. Maybe it's the midterms. Maybe that's the awesome thing, the complete reversal of everything happening right now in the House and Senate. Later, Jim. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. My mic volume is really low. Is that better? I'm trying not to peak. Apparently, I need to. I don't know how to set a noise gate. Not yet. Not on this platform. I need to look it up and do it. But hopefully that's better. Y'all want to know what kind of misinformation was allowed on Twitter? Because this was very interesting. This is from Sister Told You. Adam Schiff gets his clock cleaned after expressing concerns to Elon Musk about disinformation. So you have a whole bunch of politicians and activists and blue check mark leftists and all that stuff trying to virtue signal at the moment. And it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny to watch. Because a lot of these people are absolute hypocrites. I'm sure you guys saw that guy who was on MSNBC complaining that what Elon Musk can do now is exactly the stuff that Gad had been doing with shadow banning and suspensions, especially during election time. Here's Adam Schiff, who is always good for a laugh. Adam Schiff, why does he speak? Like every time he opens his mouth, he embarrasses himself. Just to remind you guys, this is the guy who was pushing really hard the whole Russia lie, that Trump was involved with Russia. This is the guy. Not surprisingly, a whole lot of people have been heck of a lot to say about Twitter announcing in a press release Monday that has entered into definitive agreement to be acquired by an entity wholly owned by Elon Musk for $54.20 per share in cash in a transaction valued at approximately $44 billion. Dude, I wish I kind of had that much FU money. You know what I would do if I had that kind of money? I would go and buy Twitch from Bezos. Immediately. I would buy Twitch. The things that I would do there to change stuff up, oh my gosh. And you would see the same meltdown. Maybe Elon Musk can buy YouTube next, because YouTube is still pretty good. Like I got censored just the other day on this channel. In general, conservatives by far have been the most excited and receptive to the news, while the meltdowns from Twitter woke-tivists, mainstream media journalists, and Twitter employees alike have been pretty predictable and quite frankly hilarious, especially when we consider their previous advice to conservatives about how they should just start their own platform if they didn't like the way Twitter treated them. Also weighing in on the Musk Twitter news have been Republicans and Democrat politicians alike. I must say that the, quote, concerns expressed by congressional Democrats about the deal are pretty telling, especially considering how Twitter unabashedly carried Joe Biden's water in 2020 to the point where they even censored stories critical of him, like the one from the New York Post on the Hunter Biden laptop emails that broke just a week before Election Day. Some post-election reports indicated that their suppression of the story helped Biden. But in perhaps the least self-aware tweet of all time, if not certainly a top contender, House Intel Committee Chair Adam Schiff, what a freaking title for him to have all people to have, expressed his worry to Elon Musk that Musk's personal views will stop the fight against disinformation on social media. Here's my take on the world's richest man buying Twitter, said Adam Schiff. He makes a great car and a rocket. But I'm concerned his personal views will stop the fight against disinformation on social media. The problem on Twitter hasn't been too much content moderation. It's too much hate. It's always the same. Hate, 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 hate. Oh, the hate. Again, the type of hate that they're referring to is, conversations like the kind Tim Pool is trying to get Gad to understand was not hate. But they use that as a way to get your blood riled up and be like, oh, no, we can't. Oh, censor Twitter, censor Twitter. These right-wingers are really evil. That the undisputed king of disinformation and suppression of facts that are inconvenient to Democrat narratives expressed such a, quote, concern was not lost on Twitter users, including the Federalist Sean Davis, who cleaned Schiff's clock in response. Sean Davis is an awesome follow. Go give him a follow if you haven't already on Twitter. That dude can't release a tweet without just making a very, poignant statement. This is what Sean Davis's response was. You fabricated text messages from Jim Jordan. You lied about Russian collusion. You fabricated emails from Don Jr. You are the last person on earth who should be whining about disinformation. You are the biggest source of disinformation in the country. 100% accurate. And keep in mind, this is the disinformation that was allowed to exist on Twitter. Whatever Schiff said was okay. But if Rand Paul said anything, if Ted Cruz said anything, if Donald Trump said anything, Twitter would take action. There was no action taken against Democrats who spouted obvious lies. Fauci was mistaken so much. Rand Paul would call him out and have proof. Fauci had no defense, and yet Twitter still continued to effectively punish anybody who disagreed with Fauci. And this dude is probably one of the biggest liars, not just on Twitter, but in America. Twitter never took any action against him, ever, for disinformation. Not one iota. I want to repeat this because I've repeated this before. I've said this before. I even have an RSL highlight about it, but I want to say this until I'm blue in the face. Disinformation is not about misinformation or misinformation. Nothing. It's not about mistruths. It's not about lies. It's all misinformation is, and in the context of how they use it, is anything inconvenient to the Democrat narrative. Anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be the absolute, God-honest, unrefutable truth. And it would be labeled as disinformation because it somehow inconveniences the left. That's all it is. That's why someone like Adam Schiff can come up and with a straight face say, hey, now that Elon Musk owns Twitter, I'm scared of misinformation. He's a left, and no one on Twitter will question him about it, despite the fact that he's one of the greatest liars in modern American history. He can get away with saying whatever he wants. Whatever he wants. I hope I already read that. What a Schiff head. Unfortunate last name. Joy Reid, Elon Musk just wants to bring back apartheid South Africa. This is another technical break from Twitter TOS, and I want to show you, despite the fact that she didn't say this on Twitter, do you guys recall, look, I don't know what you think about, I don't know what you think about Alex Jones. You know, whether you love him, you hate him. Me personally, I think he's a great source of entertainment. I think he's a walking, talking meme. Okay? But y'all recall that Alex Jones got in trouble because he did something off of Twitter, and it was effectively labeled targeted harassment. Here's Joy Reid saying that Elon Musk wants to bring back apartheid in South Africa, trying to paint him as a evil person, and trying to lie and get people riled up so that they turn against Elon Musk. Technically, would this not be considered targeted harassment?
They don't want to just be in the club. They are on the, they've been described as being on the outside of the culture looking in through the glass. But they don't just want to come in. They want to come in and be able to punch people in the face and walk around and laugh about it and not have anyone be able to stop them. The thing is, the enjoyment they get out of being in this town square, is being able to harass people, being able to attack people. There was a time when people had the double hashtags around their names because they were Jewish, and right-wingers were saying, get in the oven anytime you made any benign comment on Twitter. They attacked women. The misogyny was crazy on Twitter for a while. Elon Musk, I guess he misses the old South Africa in the 80s. He wants that back.
Unbelievable. Okay. Alex Jones isn't nearly as crazy as Joy Reid. Whatever you think of Alex Jones, not nearly as crazy. I have mixed feelings about Alex. He's a wacko, but he's a marketing genius. He is. I think that he is. I mean, he even said himself, a lot of it's performative. A lot of it's crazy. Whether you like him or hate him, I mean, he should definitely be a part of the Twitter platform. He really should. But I wanted to bring up Joy Reid. This is at Town Hall, by the way, our sister site. I wanted to bring up Joy Reid because I feel like she's 100% kind of. If you really want to know what like leftists on Twitter think, Joy Reid is a perfect example. This woman truly believes that we are that evil, that we are this problematic, that we're just waiting in the wings to be misogynistic. Uh-oh, is Mama home? Here, you want to get down? There you go. There you go. That we're just waiting in the wings to be horrible to women, to say racist things. These people have convinced themselves that we are the most evil people on the planet, and that we have to be silenced. And I do not. God bless Elon Musk for seeing through the bull crap. Can you guys hear my dog in the background? Can you guys hear it? The funny part about my golden retriever is that he is the sweetest dog in the entire world. But I can count on him. Like, if anyone tries to break into my house, his bark is going to scare him off immediately. He has the most ferocious sounding bark for, like, the sweetest dog in the world. It's incredible to me that you have these people who have been convinced that the right wing is as evil as the most radical of leftists say we are. But if you look at the right, 100%, we are so diverse. We have a range of beliefs. Racism, does it exist on the right? In some places, sure. But it really exists on the left. Racism is just, it's an ignorant thing that many people share. It's just going to be there. People fear differences. They don't like other cultures sometimes. It's whatever. Okay? But these people are so minuscule that it should not be a main talking point in today's society. We have issues, don't get me wrong, when it comes to race. There are issues that need to be worked on. I'm not saying it's like we're completely free of it. But to the extent that the left says we are, no, not even a little bit. As a nation, I mean. The left has a lot of issues with racism that they need to work on, but they won't even begin to acknowledge it. As far as they're concerned, they're pure as the driven snow. And they truly believe 100%. They bought into their own bullcrap that we are those racists that they say that we are. People like Joy Reid, people like Gad. These are the people who are in charge of these platforms right now. At least not on Twitter, not anymore. Not at least in a little while. But while these people are in charge of these platforms, I really do believe that they are a lot smaller in number. A lot smaller in number. And they can only control so much so often and only push the Overton window so far to the left before people start really waking up. And they are waking up, which is why Democrats have more or less given up on the midterms, which is why you see a lot of regular American citizens fighting back, at school board meetings. Governors, blue state governors who are considered mainstays are getting kicked out left and right. It's I think their time is starting to come to an end. At least for now. The pendulum is swinging one direction, and it's to the right. 100% to the right. You can watch old video of Alex, and he's nearly normal, but yes, he should have his account restored. Yeah, I think everyone should. Everyone. When the flying did that thing with the double hashtags happen, and also, yes, the targeted harassment at the end. A wind is flying. Oh, that was a while. I do kind of remember that a while back, but I think it's interesting that she automatically said that it was a bunch of right-wingers who were doing that. I did not actually see a lot of that targeted harassment that Joy Reid said. I didn't actually see it. I'm sure it happened. I'm not saying it didn't. But I also, here's the other thing that kind of drives me crazy about people like Joy Reid. Even the left, like the more popular they are on the left, the more apt they are to do this. And I know for a fact that you guys have probably seen it too. They will take or make claims that they have received death threats and harassment and all that stuff. And they make it sound like that it has come at them in like a tidal wave. And it's all these people on Twitter making these threats and doing all this seriously horrible stuff. And it's like, okay, can you provide proof? And then like they never provide proof. They just make the claim. So did it happen to people like were they told to get into an oven? These people who were identifying themselves as Jewish online with the hashtag thing. Did it happen? Probably. Did it happen in great volume? Probably not. When you introduce anonymity and safety behind a keyboard, you're probably going to get a lot of people who act a fool. That's just John Gabriel's internet dickwad theory. That's kind of what it boils down to. Anonymity plus internet connection equals total dickwad. You can't escape it. But I mean, like, after a while, you just kind of start writing them up. Like, I get hate all the time on Twitter. All the time. I'm like one of the people who, I'm a blue check mark who expresses his opinion. And he's got a very unpopular right-wing opinion for Twitter. Of course I'm going to get hate. You know what I do? I write it off because who cares? What are they going to do to me? Why do I care what they have to say, these people? I think that many people who are on the left and get that level of vitriol from the right, like they consider that harassment. And it's like, yo, you're online, man. Use the mute button. Tune them out. They don't do it. Like, they're like, oh, look at I'm being harassed. No, you're not. You stated your opinion in public, and you're getting public responses that you don't like. That's kind of what it boils down to. I'm sure harassment actually does exist on this platform, but I consider harassment someone who is, like, stalking you, constantly blowing you up and trying to, dox you. And I consider that harassment. Someone expressing their hatred to you constantly and trying to insult you and do all this stuff on Twitter. Dude, there's a mute button. Use it. I don't think that that's dangerous. It's just some asshole trying to get your goat. I think there's a difference, don't you? What is harassment? You got a mute button. You got a block button. Use them. Use them. You'd be surprised at how I use the mute button sometimes. Sometimes I'll mute conversations. I'll say something that pisses off the left really hardcore, and after a while of them trying to come at me, like my recent one, I sent out a tweet to it was to Manning. And it was really interesting because it was him trying. Y'all know the whole story right now about what's going on. Here, I'll just show you guys. I had to mute this conversation because it was just getting like a little, like it was just nothing but people just hating on me. And you know what? I actually like left it alone for a while because it was funny to watch. It was funny to see how much of this hate was coming out. It was from the transgender community. And Manning was trying to like really get one over on Musk. You know, he was trying to protect, because, you know, right now, Musk's ex-wife is dating Manning. Let me see if I can't find it. It was like a little while ago. I tweeted back at him. Oh. And people were so mad. They were so mad. Like the transgender community, like and their allies were so mad. Yeah, I've tweeted like 1 million times since then. Yeah, I can't find it now. Anyway, they were so mad that oh, here it is. No. Here it is right here. I found it. Elon Musk tweets, if our Twitter bid succeeds, we will defeat, this is by April 21st, we will defeat the spam bots or die trying. Chelsea E. Manning. He tweets this back at him. A billionaire occupying your mind rent-free, occupying a billionaire's mind rent-free. My response to him was, you're dating his ex using a platform he's about to buy and commenting to his tweet after he hasn't mentioned you one time. You're living in his head? Seems you're living in his world. Manning's friends did not like that. And you have all these responses. These people are pissed off. I mean, just like nonstop, and like people trying to take part in the conversation, dunk on me while other people have dunked on me. It happened for a long time. This went on for days. Okay? Not that big of a deal. After a while, I muted the conversation and I moved on. And I'm glad that I got him that mad. It means that you're doing something. People are going to get mad at you in a public square when you say something that they don't like. Let them be mad. What's it to you? Move on. But that's not what they want to do. What they want to do is pretend like they're suffering some grave injustice. Stupid. My dog is barking at your dog. It's kind of like the dog barking at my dog coming. I wonder if I could activate your Alexas. Alexa, what's the weather like? Exactly, Red. The mute button does exist for a reason. I love to mute those conversations. Just let the haters scream into the wind. I've done that on multiple occasions. It's like, just let them get mad. If they have nothing to add to if they're not, here's the thing. I don't just mute everybody. I actually like to hear what they have to say. And if they say anything good, then I respond to them. Like, and when I say good, I mean like worth responding to. If they don't have anything worth responding to and it's just people trying to dunk on me the entire time and be like, oh yeah, you're an idiot. Here's a name, here's a ad hominem attack, whatever. Then, okay, mute the conversation and move on. It's no skin off my back. You go ahead and spend your time and energy getting mad about what I'm saying, and I am not going to hear you. It's funny. You know? If you want to have a conversation, then I'm more than willing to have a conversation. That's perfectly fine. If you want to have a debate, let's have a debate. But you know what? You're going to get harassed. But they try to use this as a way to get sympathy or try to generate some sort of victimhood. Because victimhood is currency to the left. If you're a victim of X, Y, and Z, then you suddenly become a moral authority. You know what I'm saying? By the way, I do not believe that they are really dating. It's just a publicity move. Maybe it is. Because it seems a little weird. How do you go from Elon Musk to Chelsea Manning? Chelsea Manning is a weirdo, dude. I do not... Yeah, I just don't see how that happens. What is Chelsea Manning doing anyway? Like as a job? Does he have a job? I would like to know what's his deal. How do you go from Elon Musk, the most power, I would say he's the most powerful man in the world. He's the richest man in the world. How do you go from Elon Musk to Chelsea Manning? It doesn't make any sense. I think you're right. But then again, I said the exact same thing about Kim Kardashian and what's his name? Pete Davidson. I thought that was a publicity move too. Brandon Morse, leader of the Injustice League. Alexa is now giving me the what? Are you serious? Did I do it? That's awesome. Chelsea is on the speaking circuit. Wow. That can't work out too well because so was Clinton. I believe he was recently at Harvard for about 20K. Really? What is he? I would like to see a Chelsea Manning speech. I want to know what's going on there. What does he have to say that's so good? What is Chelsea Manning doing? Grifting. That's the only thing that that's all he's capable of at this point. That's all he's capable of. I don't understand what his appeal is. I don't think he has any. I mean, he's got a loyal following, clearly. He's got, because the tweet that he sent to Musk has like 25.8K likes. So he has a fan club. But I'm not entirely sure. Oh, God. Why did I click on? No, you know what? Y'all can suffer with me. That's the cruelest thing I've ever done to my audience ever. Why would you do that's just I was hungry. I think, yeah, there's no possible way that this dude, even if he is on the speaking circuit and he's actually able to charge $20,000 a hit, that's not going to last forever. That dude's not going to last forever. That's what does he have to say that is so important? I can't. No. That dude, he can take a hike. I think that he like this whole transgender thing is a fad. It's been a long-lasting fad, but it's a fad nonetheless. It's gonna fade away just like emo clothes, swatches, hair that is green, red, and blue. I don't know. Like all this stuff. It's just it's a trend that's gonna pass. It's a phase, Mom. And now we welcome our speaker, Chelsea Manning, to talk about the topic of how to be ill-fitting in a bikini and how not to meme. Guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. That is it for today. Again, go to redstate.com. Everything I've talked about is on redstate.com right now. Definitely go and subscribe to the YouTube. Like the stream if you haven't already. And also, be sure to sign up for the VIP. The VIP program here at Red State. Really helps us out. You can use Morse, MRSE, on sign up as a promo code for a discount. Really helps us out and gives you a lot more content. I try to write a VIP post pretty much every single day. So there's extra content that they're not getting up on the front page. It's all yours. If you sign up for the VIP program, use promo code Morse, MRSE. It's really cheap. Really helps us out. Thank you guys so much. Follow me at the Morse Code if you're not already. And also, if you're looking for just to hang out, have a good time, non-political stuff going on, you can go to my Twitch, twitch.tv/the Morse Code. We just hang out and have fun there. Thank you guys so much once again. I will see you guys on Friday. Until then, have fun on Twitter. I am going to. I'll see you later. Peace.